Heather Hudson rested her forearms on the upper rail of the rough stock pen and cocked her hip. Bulls milled about, kicking up dust, lowing and grunting in anticipation. But she wasn't watching the bulls. She was watching the bull riders. Well, searching the riders for one figure. "Heather!" called Sandy, the girl she'd driven out with. "We got seats. You coming?" "In a minute." She waved, then turned back to the crush of men, her blood pulsing. There he was, J.P. Malone in all his glory. A shiver ran through her, as if she'd been touched by a live wire. He hadn't seen her yet, and she took the opportunity to drink him in. Medium height, medium build, brown hair, whiskey-dark eyes. His eyebrows were darker than his hair or complexion would suggest, and he had a faint scar on his forehead. But there was really nothing special about his features, as her girlfriends had been quick to point out, nor was he rippling with muscles like many of the ranchers around here. There was no one thing she could point to and say, That is what makes me breathless. That is what makes me burn." It was the sum of his parts, though. And whoo boy, math wasn't her thing. But his eyes, that mobile mouth, the planes of his cheekbones, the tanned forearms dusted with hair, the length of his thighs beneath the leather chaps. Everything she could see, and all the parts she could only imagine, added up to one heck of a package. She swallowed and lifted a hand. "JP!" His head snapped up. Their eyes met, and she felt the answering heat. He stepped away from the bullpen and strode toward her, his boots clipping quickly over the sawdust-covered concrete. He stopped a pace in front of her, as if suddenly unsure of how to greet her. Then he ripped off his gloves, reached out, and captured both her hands in his calloused grip. "Honey." The single word turned her legs to liquid.